Hey, it's Andrew here at BTO Range in Conroe, Texas, and today on our bench we have the Colt Trooper Mark III, and this is kind of a, probably a little bit less common Trooper Mark III. This is a 22 Magnum in the factory Colt Guard electroless nickel finish, and we'll talk about what each of those things mean to the value of the gun here in a bit. So a bit about the Trooper Mark III. Colt had a Trooper revolver in line prior to this gun. It was similar to the Colt Python in lockwork, frame size, very similar, leaf mainspring, all that, very similar gun. It just didn't have the finishing touches, the fitting, didn't have the vent rib barrel, didn't have everything that the Python had to make it the more deluxe gun. The Trooper was kind of a step down, if you will, but still had the basic internal mechanism of the Python and still required, at least to a degree, some of the hand fitting that the Python did. So, of course, that was expensive to do. It required people to assemble them or to fit them rather than to assemble them. And obviously that all costs money. So the production cost just kept going up. In 1969, in an effort to maintain a revolver in a more moderate price range and compete with Smith & Wesson, Colt redesigned the basic line into the Mark III series and developed the Mark III revolver with a completely different internal lockwork than previously and some different metallurgy processes that were than what had been done previously. So in '69, they came out with the gun, and in a few different models. They had the Trooper, the Lawman Mark III. They did an official police revolver in Mark III, another old school Colt revolver redesigned as a Mark III. They did the Metropolitan Police Mark III and the Officer's Model Match, another old line Smith & Wesson revolver redone with the Mark III action. So they introduced this new frame. It's called the J frame in Colt. Now Smith & Wesson has a J frame, completely different, has no bearing. But this would be the Colt J frame, the Mark III gun. So what's the difference? Well, let's clear it and then we can show you. So let's clear the gun. Like most other Colt revolvers, the cylinder latch pulls back, the cylinder comes out. So we are clear. 6-round double action, single action revolver. This gun's a 22 Magnum. So we'll roll the hammer back and you can see here the gun has a transfer bar. Transfer bar with a frame mounted firing pin. So that is one of the differences that came about with the Mark III action in 1969. One of the bigger changes is Colt went to coil springs as opposed to the leaf springs that exist in the I-frame or the Python action. So all stainless steel coil springs in this gun, and that was a big change also. And Colt went with the acro rear sight on the Trooper series. Now some other models had fixed sights like the Lawman, the Metropolitan Police were fixed sight guns. And the officer's model, or the official police rather, fixed sight guns too. And we'll talk about those models here shortly. But the Trooper, when it was Mark III, when it was introduced, was .357 Magnum in 4, 6, and 8-inch barrel lengths. This is a 6. And it was available, or it became initially a .357 Magnum, but it became available in also 22 long rifle, 22 Magnum, which this gun is, and there was a small run of the gun in 38 Special. Now, obviously, .357 Magnum revolvers will shoot 38 Special without any difficulty whatsoever, but apparently it was a departmental contract, a law enforcement contract from somewhere that wanted it specifically in 38 Special, so there was a run of those made. So the gun was available in blue finish, nickel finish, and then along about 1980, 1981 is when we start to see the advertisements come out in the various periodicals. Colt started advertising what they referred to as a Colt Guard finish, which is this gun right here. This particular gun's serial number is late 1980, so that would be consistent with the 1981 official introduction of Colt Guard. And Colt Guard is an electroless nickel finish, so there's no anode cathode plating to deposit the nickel onto the gun. It's a chemical process. And there is still ongoing research on this topic, but I believe this to be true. Colt subbed out the plating, the electroless nickel plating, to a gun shop in Texas, up in the Richardson area, a man by the name of Ed House. And it was called Nitex, was the finish that Mr. House had developed and was applying to not only firearms, but whatever else he could plate with it. So my understanding is that revolvers were shipped to Ed House, and it may have initially been a custom shop thing. That I'm not sure about, but I think it's fairly well settled that the Colt Guard finish was not done in-house by Colt. So that said, it was still an official Colt finish. So whether you believe it to be a aftermarket finish or not, I mean, that hair-splitting argument can go on forever, right? So the gun in 22 long rifle, 22 Magnum is the rarest in the Colt Trooper 3 line. And then the Colt Guard finish is the rare of the bunch, 4-inch being the rarest version in the 22 Magnum. So this is a 6-inch, so it is just a little bit more common. Now, from 1980 to 1983, 1981 to 1983, we see this Colt Guard, and then there was another finish called electroless nickel, or Colt just dropped the Colt Guard name and just began calling it electroless nickel, or ENIC, E-N-I-C-K, is what you would see on box and labels and things of that nature. And then there was another finish called Royal Colt Guard. And the difference, for my money, is in the metal prep prior to the application of the finish. So the Royal Colt Guard is what you see used on Pythons of the era, certain 1911 pattern guns of the era. It's a smoother finish. It's not quite as matte. It's a little bit more polished. Looks a lot more like stainless. Now, Colt still had not produced stainless guns during this time period. Smith & Wesson and Ruger were. So Colt was really behind the times in developing a stainless gun, and both Colt and Ruger were taking advantage of that in their marketing to law enforcement and outdoorsmen and things of that nature. So Colt needed something, some type of finish application to be a little bit more weather resistant than the blued guns. Therefore, the electroless nickel was born, and then later on Colt went into the stainless steel market themselves. So the Royal Colt Guard appears in the 1982 catalog, is my understanding. And we see that finish on a brighter finish that we see on Python revolvers particularly. So there is a similar finish about the same time by a shop in Fort Worth called Armalloy, which is a hard chrome finish, same type of finish, different material. Instead of nickel, it is a chrome-based finish that is similar in general appearance, but if you really look at it under light, it has a different tint to it, if you will, rather than, you can tell hard chrome versus electroless nickel if you had the two guns together looking at them under light. You can tell the different sheen there. A lot of people can. So the Mark III gun stayed in line until the early 1980s, and they were phased out into the Mark V series. And the Mark V is worth a separate video in and of itself. The Trooper became the Trooper Mark V. They shortened the action throw. They changed the lockwork on the inside, but they changed the metallurgy. Now this gun here, the Mark III gun, as opposed to the prior guns before it, we see Colt adopting what is called sintered metal, S-I-N-T-E-R-E-D, sintered metal technology. And that's a method of producing, for example, this trigger and hammer are sintered metal on this gun. And the way those parts are produced is powdered metal is heated and compressed under considerable pressure to form the part. And then whatever minor amount of finish machining is done, and then whatever surface preparation is going to be done with the part after that. So the Mark V guns after that, we see Colt going to cast technology instead of the powdered technology for the parts. So that said, there were some technological changes from the forged steel that we see in the old guns, the Trooper Python, and then all the way through the sintered metal, then cast metal, and now MIM technology currently. So the Mark V also has some other differences. The frame, the V frame in the Mark V is slightly smaller than this frame dimensionally to try to, I mean, the story is they were trying to get some of the size value that you would get out of the Smith & Wesson revolver. I don't know how true that is, but that was one of the bigger changes, plus a different metal technology. And the lock work is different on the inside. They take apart differently the way the hand is situated. So the different models that were available in the Mark III, let's talk about that for a second. The Trooper, which is this gun, solid rib, acro, rear sight. This is a pin. The blade is pinned to the rib. There's a solid pin here. So this sight could be interchanged for a different sight. And back in those days, the Millet Sight Company made sight sets for this gun as well as most other guns with a rather elaborate white outline rear sight and a blaze orange ramp on the front. We installed a ton of those back in the 80s on a lot of stuff. So they also made the Lawman. The Lawman was a fixed sight gun available in 2-inch and 4-inch barrels. Same basic frame, same basic lockwork, 2-inch, 4-inch. The Metropolitan Police, which was 38 special only, fixed sights, 4-inch barrel only, very much designed to be a department issue gun or security guard issue gun. The Official Police Mark III, 38 special only, lighter barrel in 4-inch, 5-inch, or 6-inch. And then the Border Patrol Mark III, which was a blued Trooper adjustable sight gun with really matte, lesser quality finish available in 4-inch only. So bear in mind that also during these, during the early 80s, we see Colt had a really significant labor strike. So that did cut a lot of processes for Colt, their manpower availability to do things like finishing and fitting and assembly and things of that nature. So that was toward the end of the Mark III run, the beginning of the Mark V run. So I'm fairly confident in saying this particular gun will be one of the first of the Colt Guard guns in .22 Magnum, and it's toward the end of the Mark III run before they became the Mark Vs. So that said, it's .22 Magnum. So, and one thing we need to bring forward in .22 Magnum is that .22 long rifle, and we continue to see this almost on a weekly basis at the range. We see people attempting to shoot .22 long rifle ammunition out of their .22 Magnum firearm. And it just doesn't work that way. .22 Magnum is a larger diameter case. It's a larger diameter bullet, larger diameter bore. Bore diameter of .22 Magnum is the same as the centerfire .22s like 223. It's a .224 bore diameter. .22 long rifle is .220. The cases are also smaller in diameter. So firing the .22 long rifle cartridge will almost invariably cause it to split if it's in a .22 Magnum chamber. And we hear a lot of times people say, oh, I've done it for years. Okay, keep doing it and it'll split. I mean, things, you know, bad will happen. It's not supposed to be that way. So those two cartridges are not interchangeable at all. There is another cartridge called the .22 WRF or Winchester Rimfire that is the same diameter as the .22 Magnum, and it can be used in certain .22 Mag firearms, but that cartridge is not standard production. It's hard to find. Occasionally there's runs of it, but we're getting off in the weeds about this gun. Let's look at this gun particularly and evaluate this particular revolver and what we would look at with when we're looking at a Mark III. So one of the things about the Mark III is the action. The action is a fairly long double action pull. It's not a particularly short double action. It's a very heavy gun at .22 Magnum. You can see we have 6-round chamber here. There's a ton of meat there. So the outside dimensions of that cylinder and the outside dimensions of this barrel are the same as the .357 Magnum gun. It's just the holes are smaller. Therefore, we have several ounces difference in weight when we go to the .22 Magnum. They could have put more charge holes in this chamber. There's certainly room to have an 8-shot 22 Magnum in here, but that would have necessitated a change in the lock work, a change in the hand, a change in the bolt, a change in a lot of things to make that time correctly. And that would be completely opposite of what Colt was trying to do with the introduction of the Mark III and trying to reduce manufacturing costs. So one thing we do find on a lot of Mark III revolvers, and this one's certainly no different, it's got a trigger pull that stacks right there. That we have reached a wall on this double action trigger pull that you have to pull through to get that to go. Now, there's not a whole lot of tuning you can do to this. It is a coil spring in here, and there are spring kits that have been made for the Mark III guns to varying degrees of effect. Remember, this is centered metal technology here. So there's just a degree of polishing that can be done. You've got to reach a level of polish where then you're not really accomplishing anything beyond that. So the trigger pull is very definitely not as good as the comparable Smith & Wesson product. The Model 48 would be the comparable product in the Smith & Wesson line. And it's certainly not as good as either the Trooper that was ahead of it, the standard Trooper, or the Trooper Mark V, which came behind it, had a shorter lock work, shorter action in the lock work, and they improved the trigger pull quite a bit on the Mark V. Still a serviceable revolver, and it's certainly one that would last for years if you do your part and keep it clean. So how would we evaluate it? Well, just like anything else, when we look at it, we look at the originality, scarcity, and condition, right? So the originality, this finish, whether it's electroless nickel or armalloy, was super popular back in the early 80s through the mid 80s as a alternative to, obviously as a rust preventative coating. This is back, I like to call it BC, back in the BC era, which means before Cerakote. So we sent off, we didn't do this process in our shop, but we sent off tonnage of guns, semi-autos and revolvers alike, to Armalloy and to have hard chrome plating done and things of that nature. We did a lot of those back in the day. So it can sometimes be challenging to determine whether this is original or done after the gun was sold at retail. Now remember, the Colt didn't do this finish in Hartford, Connecticut. It was sent to Texas, and the guns were plated and then sent back through. So we have to look and see how much damage is done to the lettering, because any type of polishing would have been evident, and we don't see any evidence of that. We see a little bit of lightness on the front hooves of the rampant Colt here. We see a little bit of degradation in the definition there, but if you look at it at an angle, and I've looked at it under magnification back in my shop across the street, and it doesn't appear that it was polished. It just appears that it was lightly struck. So I'm pretty confident that this is the original finish as sold, that it wasn't done by anyone other than Nitex back when the gun was made back in late 80, early 81. So the originality, the scarcity, we've already established that. It's relatively uncommon, but not the most uncommon version of the Mark III. So we have to go to condition. Well, we have a pretty pronounced cylinder ring here from the bolt rubbing against the cylinder, and we see that on any electroless nickel gun or even hard chrome guns that have been shot, because what happens is they didn't polish this, the bolt here, the bolt that comes up, that wasn't polished, so that rubs a lot here and causes this ring. So that's not uncommon. If we had one with, I would say it doesn't necessarily detract from the shootability value of it, obviously, but if it didn't have that ring, it would increase the collectability value. We have a little, a couple of scratches here and a little bit of muzzle wear here on the very end of the muzzle. So the gun is pretty much in typical used but not abused condition. This bright polished screws and parts here are correct. This is Pockmeyer grips with the Colt inlaid. They were available like this as sold, and again, this grip is also available, or was also available on the aftermarket. A lot of these came with the wood grips with the Colt medallion. So whether or not you deduct value for this is kind of a matter of personal preference. What makes a big difference on this gun is the actual box. If it had that wood grain or the styrofoam two-piece box with the wood grain outer cover, that would add a few $100s to it. That said, if this was a 4-inch electroless nickel gun, it'd be $1,200 plus all day long. But a 6-inch gun in this condition with this ring and these few scratches, it's probably going to be a sub $1,000 piece, in like $700-800 in the sub $1,000 range. If it brings more than that, then that's a plus. Again, anytime there's a gun deal and both parties walk away feeling they could have done better, then it's probably a good deal. So that's kind of where we're at with that. So the Colt Trooper Mark III, we've got this on the schedule to do a take-apart video on it to show you how to pull this side plate off and what the lock work looks like on the inside and what to look for as far as replacement parts and things of that nature on this gun. So, one thing I wanted to bring up about this finish, and as well as the Armalloy hard chrome finish, is the springs, the coil springs that are in this gun. Originally, they plated the springs too, and that proved to make, over time, would make the springs brittle and prone to failure. So toward the later part of the electroless nickel plating phase, the springs were omitted from the plating process, and that resolved that issue. So bear that in mind on an early gun that's been plated, or if you have a gun that had been plated during those early 80 years. If springs were involved, they probably are going to degrade and become brittle. So anyway, the Colt Trooper Mark III in 22 mag, 6-inch barrel with Colt Guard finish from 1980. If you like what we're doing, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. We try to post stuff every week. If you want to drop a comment, we read them, we reply to them. We're glad that you're watching. I never thought when we started this process that we'd be 100 videos in and getting all the attention we're getting. So that's because of you folks, and we're happy you're doing it. And we'll see you on the next one. Thanks.